All right, y'all. A lot of y'all don't know me. I mean, I don't know if y'all know how to even say my name on YouTube. I've never did a YouTube video before. Some stuff I uploaded was more like personal and like from the protests and shit. You say my name, Barani, and I'm sorry if y'all can't hear me. I kind of got the windows down, but yeah, my name's Barani. I'm 29. I'll be 30 in June. But I go by Ronnie. Anyway, I have some stuff I wanted to talk about with y'all. I don't know if anybody will see it, but if I can, touch on some issues and just, I guess maybe somebody out there needs to know there's still a normal thinking person out there because the world we live in is all fucked up and wild. Excuse my language if I can't say that. So first thing we're going to touch on is his presidency. Joe Biden was not who I voted for. I'm a Republican. No, I did not vote for Trump. I voted for Ted Cruz. I wanted him, or I was going to go for the independent party with Joe Jorgensen. I don't feel like politics as it stands now has any true winner besides themselves. You know what I mean? We don't win out of it. So, but I'll say this, just like, because when Trump came around the first time, I didn't want him, you know what I mean? And I'm a fair guy. I give everybody their fair chance to make or break it with me. So, with Joe Biden, I'll say regardless if I voted for you or not, you're still my president. So I support you until you give me a reason not to. And I have a big problem with politics and everybody like damning this, this man or the other man or whatever because they didn't get their fucking way. The part of being a strong country is the fact that not every decision is going to be liked by everybody, but we all come to a general consensus that we'll do our part to make it, easier. And I will say, I'm ashamed of Trump because when me being a Republican, I look at Republicans as upperclassmen. I look at us as, and I'm not saying I look at Democrats as underclassmen, but there's a certain, maybe not physical, but kind of suit and tie mindset that we have about handling shit. And I mean, I'll just say dead ass, he's a sore fucking loser, and you lost, Biden won, and fucking deal with it. Do what every president before you has done and make this transition as easy and fruitful as possible. Because right now your legacy is going to end as a sore fucking loser. You know what I mean? Beyond other things. So that's where I stand on that. I support Biden in the sense of you are the president and I'm going to do my part to make this shit a little bit easier. Maybe my part does nothing, you know what I mean? But the next thing I want to touch on, and this is a big one for me, is racism. I've touched on it a few times on my TikTok, but I do feel there is a major racial problem in America, and it's not whites to blacks or blacks to whites. It's everybody has a little bit of hate in their heart. Some people take that shit too far. I'm not telling you I like every black person or white person. Speaking, I am biracial. My father's black, my mom's white. There's some niggas I hate. There's some of these white people I hate. There's everybody there's somebody in every race that I just can't stand. And it ain't because they're race. It's just because they're fucking retards. Excuse my language again if I can't say some of the words I said. But I'm being honest. Not everybody is meant to like everybody. And I don't like that the country is like making it a law that everybody has to like everybody. Does everybody have to respect everybody? Yes, everybody has to respect everybody. You know what I mean? But I'm very big on the law of the land, as long as you're following the law of the land, I feel like you should be able to do whatever the fuck you want. And if you decide, hey, I'm uncomfortable around a group of people, okay, you have a right to do that. You know what I mean? Do you have a right to treat them different at work or deny them services or anything that, natural human rights or human morality provides, no. But if you decide, hey, I don't want to be around these people, don't. I tell people all the time, I talk to some of my, black friends, whatever you want to call them, acquaintances, whatever. And I tell them all the time, why the fuck would you want to be around the motherfuckers? Why would you want to be around a group of people that thinks like that? You know what I mean? Why would you even care about their acceptance? There's people out here in the trucking world, as you know, as you may or may not know, I'm sorry, I'm a truck driver. I hear it all the time on the CB radio. That's why I took mine out of the truck. Oh, look at the way this N-word parks, or look at the way, you know what I mean? Or look at this white guy, he's probably, I've seen racism on both sides. And I've seen it on multiple fronts, and I don't understand why people have such a problem with being different. I love the fact that I'm different from the rest of y'all. I love the fact that you're different from me. That makes me unique. That makes me my own person, because in all honesty, I can't see the world through your eyes. I can't live your reality. My reality is my reality, and that is the only one I know is real. I don't know if anything else is real or fake. I feel shit, so I'm assume it's real, but you don't know for sure what another person's gone through, is going through, or might go through, or how they think. And that is the problem, is people aren't even open to hearing what other people think. And I think a lot of the problem with racism is just that. You're prejudging, the whites will take this guy with, fucking green and pink dreads and gold teeth and be like, oh, he's the problem. That's the guy that wants to burn the buildings down. I know a lot of them little niggas who don't want to do that. I know a lot of them shorties who are like, that shit was bogus. Now I know some of them who are a part of it. I kind of distanced myself from them, because I don't think burning down the neighborhood, it only gets attention, but it's not getting the right attention. I understand why you do it, because when we're talking and we're not burning shit down, they don't hear us. So I get it. I'm not going to condemn you or condone you. You know what I mean? I'm just find a better way. And for, vice versa, it would be like, with white people, there's a lot of, black girls or black guys out here that'll look at these white girls and be like, oh, she just wants to steal our culture, or this person thinks, this about us, or they think they're better. I know a lot of these white kids, with this round of racial riots, I've seen a lot of white kids even disowning their own parents because they think that shit is wrong. And I appreciate you guys, because it's not about you proving anything to us, it's about proving where you stand with something that's immoral. And that's it, that's the ticket. What does your heart stand? All of us have the same body parts, you know what I mean? Now they might not be the same in fucking look or any of that other stupid cosmetic shit, but we all got two legs, we all got two arms, we all got fingers and toes and all that shit. We're basically built the same way. So for some of these white kids to be just as brave, to be as brave as they are and stand up for it, it's the same with this young black generation. This young black generation is fucking awesome. As an almost 30-year-old guy, I'm hitting the age where I'm kind of a little bit older. You know what I mean? I'm not 19 no more. You know what I mean? That shit was 11 years ago for me. 10 or 11, whatever. And I love seeing, these 17, 18-year-olds, not even that, my nieces and nephews, I got nieces and nephews who are, 11, 12, 16, even younger than that. And this generation is different. And I love the route that we're going. I love that, they see the true problem, and the true problem is this government. The government is putting us all in a box, because if they can divide us, instead of fighting a whole, fucking, 300 million people, it's easier to fight us in smaller packs. And once we realize that, and we realize that they hate you, the black guy in, in the Bronx, or the black guy in South Chicago, or the black guy in, where I'm from, South Tucson, they hate you the same way they hate this broke white guy from, the white ghetto in Tucson, or, from, fucking Detroit. they hate us the same. For them, it ain't about race. It's not racism. It's classism. You know, we are a huge majority in people who are overworked, underpaid, and extremely unheard. You know, and when we realize that the power is ours, and I need people to understand that the only reason the powers that are today are still the powers today is because we haven't realized that true power of it. If the racist white guy and the racist black guy could sit down and figure out that they agree probably on a lot of major shit and realize that this guy's not so bad and that guy's not so bad, it's just me being scared and being different, I think we take back that power and this world could truly be a better place. But until then, we keep pulling on the, these political Democrat, Republican, independent strings. You know, they're playing tug of war with us and we're over the fire. You know what I mean? We're out here stuck in the mud, man. So yeah, that's how I feel about racism and politics. I think that we truly have the power, but we won't harness that power until we realize that the president came from a pair of ball sacks like I did. That nigga is no better than me. That cop came from the same pair of ball sacks like I came from the same pair of ball sacks. You know what I mean? That nigga got a mama too. He ain't no different than me. This imaginary thing, these imaginary titles give them the power. And once we can show them that we know now, and we ain't gonna let them continue to do that, man, the world will change for the better. But yeah. So my next thing that I want to talk about is women's rights. And I want to say this because this is another divide that I see between men and women. There is some situations that I've gone through in my life with my baby's mom and all that shit that have put me in a position that I felt was unjust. You know, just because, this woman had a baby and it came out of her coochie, she has more rights than me. That's bullshit. It takes two people to make a baby. Regardless if that's, artificial insemination or whatever the fuck, there was still another person's genetics that made that baby. Women can't have babies without us. And I do think it's unfair that in the court of law, women are number one, and that's bullshit. When it comes to a child, women have it so easy in the sense of what the courts will dictate. Now, I'm not saying women have it easy everywhere. They don't. And there's a lot of shit that, women go through that I think is unfair. I do see a lot of, oh, she's a woman, just being a truck driver. Oh, she's a woman, she's not a good truck driver. How the fuck do you know that? Let's be honest, how the fuck do you know that? I know some women truck drivers right now that'll out-drive, outload, and out-finesse any motherfucking male truck driver that I can think of, or that's probably out there. And it is unfair. The inequality in all senses of our life it's promoted in everything we do, The drama, like people thrive off that shit. And, I'm gonna say this, and this is where I think the country should go as far as women's rights, man's rights, equal rights, so on and so forth. My man Michael Jackson made a song called Man in the Mirror. And I truly don't think anybody can change anything but themselves. The reason your life is the way it is because you're not changing yourself, or you have been changing yourself, regardless good or bad. So if we all just stop focusing on the next man and focused on us, I really do believe that reality would be a lot better. I'm not saying life, you're not going to go through struggles, and you are. My dad always tells me, my dad's in prison right now. My dad always tells me, promise me one thing. You can give out, but don't give up. And I live with that every day, I grew up without a father, you know what I mean? I didn't meet my dad. There was little times in my younger life where he was like in and out. Like, my mom would go do whatever with them and shit. She was with my stepdad, whatever. But I didn't officially meet him and remember it till I was 11. And then he went to prison right after that. And he got out again when I was 20. And then he just went back. But since he's been in my life, he does keep it real with me. You know, I appreciate the fact that I have a father that'll be honest with me. And, you know, I could have been the guy, and this is kind of segueing into the next topic I want to talk about, so I'll just bring it up now, is personal responsibility. You know, personal responsibility is one thing that a lot of people don't do. Everybody always finds a reason to point the finger at somebody else while they had a bad moment, a bad minute, a bad day, or a bad fucking month. You know what I mean? And I've been working really hard on myself. Like, I'm not going to be the guy I'm sorry, y'all, I'm taking off my jacket. It's kind of hot in here. But I'm not going to be the guy to do that anymore. I used to do that shit heavily. Like, oh, you know, my life is fucked up. You know, my 20s were fucked up because, you know, when I turned 18, I was awarded state or whatever the fuck. And, you know, I didn't have the opportunities. I didn't, you know. I wasn't fed, you know, much opportunities. I was, you know, when I turned 18, I remember, you know, June 26th of 2009. You know what I mean? I was still a ward of the state in CPS custody, and my CPS worker, Robert Valenzuela, you know, I'd just been out of a boot camp, you know, this boot camp called Canyon State Academy, to the Rite of Passage Company or whatever. I was in there for 22 months, and it did change my life. But when I got out, I still struggled. You know what I mean? Everybody who goes to jail can, you know, preach how shit's gonna be different, but, you know, the difference really isn't in there, it's out here. And I went through some struggles, nothing big, you know what I mean? I wasn't getting locked up and shit no more. But I found myself sitting at a bus stop, right? You know, my CPS worker called me in from the group home I was in, and he pretty much was like, you know what, you're gonna turn 18 on Monday at midnight. So instead of you having to come all the way back up here, we're gonna go ahead and cut you loose right now. Here's a $750 check, you know, plus all the shit, you know, the money you had saved, which wasn't much. It was like maybe $400 from when I was working this job at Wendy's. And here's a stack of bus cards, so I can get on the bus, you know, like they're 2-ride bus cards. If you're not from Arizona, you wouldn't get it, but, you know, you put it in, bam, there's 1 ride, you know, and they give you like a transfer so you can get on buses, so on and so forth. So it was a come up, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, all right, that's a nice little, you know, I was excited about it. Like, you know, I just made like, you know, I got $1,000 in my pocket and some bus cards. You know, they're about to cut me loose. I'm fucking free. And I wasn't. You know, I remember sitting at that bus stop, and that was the first time in my life I realized, don't nobody got to give a fuck if I eat, sleep, shit, or die. If I die today, all they gonna do is throw me in a motherfucking box. It don't matter how pretty the box or how the great. Nobody has to give a fuck if I survived it. Through my 20s, I struggled through that. You know what I mean? Through my 20s, I struggled to wrap my head around the fact that I was completely on my own. I'd wanted it so bad when I was an adult, or when I was a teenager. Oh, I don't have to listen to mom no more. Yeah, but, you know, I don't got to listen to fucking POs no more. I don't got to listen to, you know, CPS no more. And it was rough, you know, my 20s were rough, man. I spent a few years homeless, you know, like, but I made it. I'm making it stay. You see, I mean, this is a real gold necklace. I'm not a real braggy guy, and I don't, you know, I don't wear much jewelry. I don't got much tattoos. I got one on my arm here of my kids. But this necklace was a really proud moment for me a few weeks ago, because I realized at that point I was never going to be in that struggle the way I was before. You know what I mean? I spent so much time on the grind, so much time, you know, not having things like, you know, not just my necklace. I spent, you know, fucking $1,250 on this necklace. Yeah, it's a real 18 karat gold necklace. But I bought it at a fucking pawn shop, their little jewelry shop, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm not big on like diamonds and shit. I don't have watches, rings, none of that shit, as you see. But it was a big move for me, because I realized I held the key to my destiny this whole time. There was things about my life that were unchangeable. You know what I mean? And I spent so much time mad about what I couldn't change that I lost my 20s on that. You know what I mean? I could have focused more on being a better me instead of being everybody else's barometer, you know? And you know, just because I lived in Arizona my whole life. And back in March of 2019, I moved to Illinois. I live in Aurora now, and I love the fact that I control everything. Nobody knows about my past. Nobody knows my baby's moms or, niggas I got beef with, so on and so forth. I can be whoever I want to be, and I take responsibility for everything that has happened in my life. You know what I mean? Like, no, could I control my parents? Hell no. I couldn't even control what they did, but I could control how I take it and how I let it affect me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could have been the guy who fucking, woe's me. I fucking, dealt a bad hand. I'm gonna go out here and do, all kinds of crazy shit. Like, yeah, I smoke cigarettes. I just started again. I had stopped for a couple years. But I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't sell drugs. It's never been my cup of tea. You know what I mean? Like, even when I was homeless, and the thought had crossed my mind. I'm not gonna lie to y'all and, pretend I had some fucking, super poise and, I had it all together. No, it took my 20s to get me to where I am now. At 29 years old, I understand that I can't be what I was before and expect things to get better. I have to be different for shit to be different. It's not on my mom, it's not on my kids, it's on me. When I die by myself. And again, I'm just an average dude from Tucson, Arizona, who was dealt a really shit hand in life. My parents, weren't the greatest people. I'm not, they have definitely, for the most part, become better people. They still make stupid decisions sometimes, thus my dad being in prison. But, my mom was, a prostitute. My dad was her pimp. You know what I mean? I was bred around a bunch of gangbangers and killers to be a fuck up, and every day I pride myself on the fact that I beat every statistic that was ever thrown at me. When I remember when I was young and I used to go to the juvenile a lot, and they'd be like, the district attorney or the prosecutor, whatever, used to tell me like, you'll be dead by 21, you're a piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. That's how they used to talk to us at the juvenile. And I'm 29 years old and I was in jail once for a bullshit ticket. And not only because the ticket was bullshit, not only did I didn't fight with the cop. I was real cooperative. Like, hey man, I understand you're doing your job. I'm not gonna fucking stun on you. I'm not about to act like a fucking retard. Hey man, I'm not even that. I don't want to get shot over a $150 fucking ticket. You know what I mean? When I got into that courtroom, the judge was like, you've been in jail 2 days? They arrested me on my job. This was back this March. You know what I mean? And, the judge is like, they really locked you up over an overweight ticket? And I was like, the cop was just doing his job. I'm not mad at him for it. I'm mad at this stupid ass system, that's set up. And she was like, I agree. Not only did they drop the ticket, the Fayette County Court in Illinois actually ended up paying me $250 for the ticket because I spent a day in jail. Or like a day and a half in jail. You know what I mean? So they compensated me for a day of work, which was awesome because usually my shift is about $250 a day. You know what I mean? And I realized, through all these things I'm going through and, like another situation with my baby's mother, I have a son out here in Illinois and, me and her went through some difficulties. We didn't end up staying together, but I had a choice in the way I handled it. It ended up being another dude, which was her old baby dad. It was a lot of bullshit. And I could have been real ignorant about it. I could have went out there and tried to fuck this guy up. You know what I mean? As you see, I'm not a small guy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm 6'2", 310 pounds. I'm not, the best in shape, but I do go to the gym and I go like 4 times a week. I'm not a pussy, but there are certain situations that require me to be violent, and not every situation is one of them. I had to take responsibility for the fact that I couldn't control what she did. I couldn't control how he reacted, but I could control how I reacted. I could control if I wanted to go out here and act a fucking fool. You know what I mean? And A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people, well, you made me do this. You still have a choice. And my choice was, I remember the day that I felt, because we had broke up, but she was still feeding me a bunch of bullshit, because she wanted to get back together or whatnot. And I remember when, I didn't believe her. When you get that sense in your head, like something ain't right. She's feeding me like, you're the only guy I'm talking to, blah, blah, blah. Because at this point, I'm thinking about getting back with her. And I'm like, something ain't right. Like, she bullshit. And I remember I was like, okay, I'm not usually a go through the phone kind of guy. But she wanted me to pay her phone bill and some other bills and shit like that. It was going to equal like $150 or some shit. And I'm like, I'm not just going to hand my money out and not be sure. You know what I mean? So something in me was just like, lie to her. And a lot of people are like, ooh, you lied, whatever. Sometimes you have to. Sometimes certain situations, I seen in the Ray Charles movie where he said, stretch a lie, find a thief. You know what I mean? I don't know if I said it exactly, so forgive me. But, I'm like, hey, let me see your phone. I got to put my card number in and make sure it's taken off, blah, blah, blah. So she's, eating tacos. And she's pregnant with our son still, you know what I mean? Because our son is only like 6 or 7 months old now, And I'm reading her text messages, dude, and I'm like, okay, she's bullshitting me. And I'm reading that she's bullshitting me, Barani's just bothering me, all that. I still have the messages from her. I never used to hit her up. When we broke up, occasionally she'd be like she wanted to have sex, and I was still cool with it because she was pregnant with my son. So I was like, okay, I'd rather you do me than somebody else, in the sense of you're pregnant with my son. But if you could do what you want, you're a free fucking person. And so I'm like, more of me was mad, like, so this whole time you're smashing dude, pregnant with my son. And I call her on it, hey, look, what is this text message, blah, blah, blah. She starts crying, boogers coming out of nose and shit. And I'm like, why are you mad? You made a decision. I'm not mad. I'm not cussing you out. I'm not trying to dog you. I'm gonna still take you home. Because we live in Aurora, so I was, at the time I think we were in Montgomery, which is like a town away. And I'm like, I could be a dick and make her walk. A, I'm not gonna do it because she's pregnant with my son. B, I'm not gonna do it because that's not the right thing to do. You got to start planting different seeds, And so I'm like, just chill out. Finish your tacos. I bought you tacos. I want to make sure you're eating. Everything's good. I just know where we stand now. She's, oh, yeah, I'm not going to get out the car until you talk to me and we sort this out. So once again, I had to lie to her. Oh, yeah, we'll talk when I get home. I just want to go home. I got to work. That was the only way to get her out of my car. If not, I was going to either have to remove her or call the police. And I wasn't going to do nothing. I wasn't going to do either because I don't put hands on women. And I don't talk to the fucking police, period. You know what I mean? If I have to, I will. But I avoid that shit because I don't want to deal with one of those dickhead cops. There's good cops and there's dickheads. The point being, I was really proud of myself because I had a choice. I could have been like a lot of these motherfuckers you see on TikTok and YouTube and all these other platforms who, wild the fuck out and getting their feelings and all that. And I had to be real with myself. And I'm going to use this saying, very loosely, and I don't mean any disrespect to women, but women can say it to men as well. It's not your pussy, it's your turn, and I had to realize there wasn't nothing I was going to do that was going to stop her from doing what she already done or what she was going to do later. The only thing I could do was act like a fucking asshole and be out here fist fighting with a pregnant girl or a girl in general, which that ain't even my MO. I'd beat dudes up, you know what I mean? If I have to fight, I'm going to fight a dude. I ain't going to fight no girl. And put myself in a worse position, lose my job, lose my car, so on and so forth. Or I can take it as it is. And as it is I didn't lose anything. All I did was gain the opportunity to have free space. I wasn't confused anymore. I was thankful to the higher powers. A lot of people believe in God. I call it the higher powers because I feel everybody's religion has a little bit of truth, But I was thankful that the higher powers had taken the fucking blindfold off and made me clear that I'm free now. No more fucking. Me and her haven't fucked since. You know what I mean? I talk to her every now and then, and she cries and all that. What can I do to get you back? Nothing. I moved on. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not even like a person. I got another person because I'm single, but I moved on from that situation because I knew what was going to come out of it. Nothing from nothing means nothing. You know, I can't. No matter what my dream is, if it ain't that person's dream or it ain't the way they want to think about it, I'm never going to change that shit. You know, so. I really heavily started, you know, taking responsibility for my actions, you know. How do I handle shit? You know, even I got into a little incident at work, you know, where a guy was rude as fuck to me, you know, and I could have, you know, first 10, 15 seconds, I was like, I'll break this motherfucker's neck. You know what I mean? Like, who the fuck is he talking to? Like, you can't, you even if you could beat my ass, I'll make you do it. You know what I mean? But then I was like, Ronnie, who the fuck is he? Why do I feel I have to prove something to him? When I leave this store, this motherfucker is completely irrelevant. And I just smile and say, yes sir, no sir, yep. If you want to do anything about how you feel, you gonna do something. And if you hit me, I'm gonna give it to you. You know what I mean? I'm gonna fuck your world up right here in this store. Because at the end of the day, I'll never tell anybody to be a victim. Hell no. If a person puts their fucking hands on you, that's your responsibility to protect yourself. You whoop their motherfucking ass. I don't care if they big or small or anything in between. You beat their motherfucking ass. But all he was doing was talking. Talk is cheap. It's just rah-rah, you know? And that's what I mean by taking responsibility for your shit is everything you do has a reaction, even when you do nothing. You know what I mean? Some things require you to react, you know, and a lot of times people overreact. And like the dude at the store, I didn't react because it didn't require me to. You know what I mean? I looked at my situation and was like, I know he ain't gonna hit me, so everything he's doing now is just his own dumb ass. He's just showing me he's a fucking, you know, idiot. Whatever. You know what I mean? And like the situation where, you know, my baby mom, I could have pulled up at dude's house, made a big old scene, whooped his ass in front of his mom and shit. But why? What do I need to prove? I didn't prove anything. It's not my burden that he's picking the stick with this whack ass bitch and she's being whacked. That's not my burden. I was a legit nigga the whole way through, so why do I need to take any of that stress? I moved on, man, you know, and that is the biggest, out of everything I've talked about here, I don't even know if people can see the shit, but out of everything I've talked about here, that is the biggest thing I feel people need to start doing is taking responsibility for their own actions. Your mom, your dad, how you grew up, any of that shit, it only plays a part in how you take shit and how you handle shit. Again, I come from one of the most violent neighborhoods in Southern Arizona. You know what I mean? There was just in this past weekend, I believe there's like 4 or 5 shootings there. You know what I mean? Just in that part of town. You know, I grew up amongst the, you know, the dinner thieves and you know, the criminal killers and, you know, the drug dealers and shit. And I'm not that, man. I'm a stand-up guy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not telling you I'm perfect. I still make mistakes. Some days are still hard, but I refuse to let anybody else be the excuse or give them the control of my life. And that's the tip. Start taking responsibility of you guys' lives. I'll make other videos. I hope this helps somebody. You know, I hope, you know, this is good conversation for somebody. If you got any comments, please comment. You know, even if you're like, you're a fucking idiot or whatever, I don't care. It's your opinion. But yeah, I'll get at you guys.